And we are live. Welcome, everybody, to a special live edition of Mike's Money Picks. Today on the show, we are here on this wonderful Friday night, the second day of the NCAA tournament, and we are going to break down the Saturday slate, the round of 32. We got 8 games to talk about, and it's going to be a fun one. So I brought my co-host on here with me, Zach Green, a.k.a. Big Country DFS. Zach, how has everything been going for you for March Madness so far?
Well, yesterday wasn't too great because Thornton decided to just not shoot the ball. I was like, what in the world? And then today it looked, Amari Allen looked like he should smash, and then he only gets to 23 after having 4 at halftime.
Yeah, that was one of those where I was just thankful he got to 23 after how he started that game. Like, he's an infuriating player to roster in DraftKings. Like, just straight up. He's infuriating to roster in DraftKings. So I had a really good Thursday, right? Largely thanks to I had McNeely in the core, I had Caden Boozer in the core, and Seth Trimble and Henry Vasar were in the core on the night slate. They were big pieces in the main slate as well. So it was a really good Thursday. I didn't have any takedowns because like the fields are just so huge and the lineups were just so good that took tournaments down. But, I had a few get up to 280, 290, had a very profitable day on Friday. The downside is today, and this is what we were talking about when we went live on Thursday, is like, I don't know how today's going to end up playing out because I have so much riding on these late games. I'm all over Darian Peterson and Flory Badunga. So if they end up going off, it could end up being a really good slate for me. I just have no idea how that's going to play out.
Yeah, that's what I got Badunga in my cash lineup. I'm going to need him to be good because I know Peterson, like you said, is going to be owned as well.
Mm-hmm. How's your bracket looking so far? Good, bad, in the middle?
I haven't even looked. I've just been busy the last couple of days. Let's see. Let me pull it up right now.
So mine has been like aggressively average. Like, it's like for every like coin flip game I get right, I'll get the next one wrong. And then for every upset that I've tried to call a few upsets and didn't get them. Like, I had both Akron and Hofstra earlier. I was hoping I was going to get one of them. They both those games started out close, and neither of them could just finish it. So,
I forgot.
Go ahead.
I picked Texas, so I got that one. I picked High Point. I got that
Texas
one
over Gonzaga tomorrow. So
yeah,
that could be
you're
a
little biased Texas fan there.
I
think with 3 games in 5 days, I think they're going to get tired legs, and
we're going to talk about that one. We're going to talk about that one. I think there's some interesting angles there that make it a good matchup, though. But anyway, we are here primarily to break down the DraftKings slate for Saturday. So we're going to do it. It's going to be kind of a combination tonight of my normal pre-recorded content with what we normally do on the live show. Normally, if I'm solo, I go game by game, right? Normally, if we do kind of the collaborative live show, we kind of just talk about like the whole slate, right? What we're going to do today is kind of marry that concept together, and we're going to go game by game and use that as a prism to talk about anything and everything tomorrow. Ownership, projections, good play, bad play, stacks, fades, value, like just everything you could possibly imagine for tomorrow. We're going to do it one game at a time. So that way, if you're watching this, you can kind of, I know that a lot of people on the Saturday slate, because I've seen this happen year after year after year, a lot of people sit out the main and then just play the night slate after the 2 standalone games have ended. So if you're one of those people watching it now, you can go ahead and fast forward till you don't see a Michigan school on your screen, and then you can go ahead and get the information you need for the remaining 6 games. But yeah, that's the goal here tonight, y'all. So if you are in the chat, let us know. And let us know what you like, what you don't like, or if there's anybody you want to talk about, get an opinion about on tomorrow's slate, because this is going to be a fun one. There are multiple entertaining games set up for this slate. And to me, that starts with the first one, Zach. We've got St. Louis taking on Michigan, right? That one is projected to be 87-74 in favor of the Wolverines. That's a game total of 161 points. That is the second highest in the slate. And Zach, to me, this has the feel of a game where if I play some guys from this game, by the time it's over, I am either going to be thinking that I'm going to win everything, or I am going to be moving on to the night slate, because it just feels like this game has a wide range of outcomes.
Yeah, and the St. Louis is so frustrating for DFS purposes because they use pretty much everybody, and you're just trying to guess which one of them. Outside of Avila, he's always in play, but
Yes.
outside of him, all of those guards from McCautry, Brown, Jones, Thames, Green, they're all, and so I tend to lean on the side of just fading St. Louis when they're on slates. Whenever there's plenty of other options,
Mm-hmm.
and especially against arguably one of the number one, possibly the number one team in the country. So there's just not really a big reason for me to see playing them.
So I do think from first off, I think they're all priced appropriately. Like, I'm not looking at this St. Louis team and thinking like, oh, that guy is an insane value.
I think you froze.
Are you there, Zach?
Yeah, I think you froze for a minute.
Yeah, my screen went blank, and I'm like, oh, Lord, this is not good. I was in the middle of talking about St. Louis, though, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
about being priced appropriately and
Okay, so yeah, like, I do think X's and O's wise, though, there's a few angles you could go after. Like, to me, the big chess piece matchup for this game is, what is Michigan going to do to defend Avila, right? Like, I don't think they're going to put Mara on Avila. I think that they're going to put Mara on one of the corner sitters, and they're going to make it like a pseudo zone, and they're going to just have Mara waiting at the rim for anybody that tries to come out to the rim. He's going to just block out the sun, right? Like, I think that's going to be the plan. So if Avila is going to be left to go one-on-one against Marez Johnson or Yaxel Lindeborg, and the ball is going to be in his hands a ton, I kind of think there's some opportunity for a lot of points here. Now, granted, that's a tough matchup. Like, that's not just some easy, like, he's going to cook them for 40, but I think there's opportunity there in a game that's going to feature a lot of possessions for him to score a lot of DraftKings points. And then I do think the other interesting piece is Trey Green. So, like, you think about how Michigan plays defense. Michigan is going to really look to force you into shooting threes, right? Like, the whole point of having Mara is, we're going to block everything at the rim. We're going to make you settle for outside jump shots, and they surrender a high 3-point rate. Well, for St. Louis, their best shooter is Trey Green by far. And he's also a guy that has a 13% combined rebounding rate, has a 12% assist rate, and this is going to be a game that's going to see a lot of possessions. So I do think that Trey Green, $4,600, that's a value play that's going to make my pool.
yeah, another one that I like is Ishan Sharma because he's been solid the last 3 games, but
really solid.
The thing with that is the 4 games before that was all single digits, so it's like, it's still a GPP because it can be really bad, but it can also be really good.
So I guess the question will become with Sharma is, like, do we think that they could play him potentially more, like going with bigger lineups against Michigan? Because I do think that's a possibility.
Yeah, that's possible too.
But the
thing is,
with St. Louis, go ahead. I'll wrap us up.
I was just going to say he's not that big. So if we're thinking about bigger lineups, that'd probably be Otieno because he's 6'9". Dunlap is only 6'7", and Sharma is 6'5". So
yeah. Yeah, looking at it, Sherman plays a decent amount of minutes at the 2 for them. I didn't realize that. I thought he was on the bigger side. Anyway, yeah, so that's St. Louis for you. Wide range of outcomes, right? So let's talk about the Michigan side now. So, we kind of talked about the chess piece on one side of how are they going to guard Avila? To me, an equally important question is where are they going to put Avila on defense? Because I think that whichever big Michigan has that Avila is on, they're just going to be able to go right at him one-on-one. And if it is a Daimara is a guy that just is an insane fantasy point per minute producer. And if he's going to have the ball in his hands a lot with a favorable matchup, I think he has immense GPP upside. We see against Howard, he literally put up 2 fantasy points a minute, which is just an insane rate. And so, you extrapolate that out, say this game stays somewhat close, they need him to play 27, 28 minutes, which he did in the Big Ten tournament. Adai Mara could smash on this slate, man.
Yeah, I always like Mara. I always like Yaxel. I always like Merez. And the thing that's so frustrating is it doesn't matter which one I pick. They end up not being the one that smashes. So
yeah,
I'm just probably going to try to play one of each at least.
I will say my strategy when they played Howard, I only played Mara. I faded Yaxel and Merez because my entire thinking was, this is going to be a blowout. They're just going to absolutely curb stomp Howard, and all the starters are just going to play 20 minutes. Mara is the one that can get home in 20 minutes. I was pretty right about most of that assessment, with the exception of the fact that A, the game stayed close, and B, Merez Johnson Jr. went quite nuclear as well. So yeah, just very, very interesting with the Michigan bigs there. All right, so Darren has brought it up in the chat, right? The cheap Wolverine guards. This has been kind of a recurring story every time they've been on the slate since LJ Kason got hurt, right? We got McKinney, we got Burnett, we got Gale. Zach, is there one that stands out to you that you're going to be playing here on this slate? Because I've got one that I like, and I don't know if it's the same one.
Yeah, the one I like the most is McKinney.
Okay.
He's only had one game since Kason's been out, the very first one that was under 15. Just a solid floor. And really, honestly, we haven't seen his upside. I believe his upside is higher than what we've seen. Burnett, he starts, but he's very much a shooter. So if his shot's not falling, he's not going to get you what you want.
I'm not a Burnett guy.
And so I would kind of rank Gale. I would rank McKinney, Gale, and then Burnett because Gale can get steals and stuff.
That's about how I would have it as well. I do think that with Gale, we've seen him in his career at Ohio State and then at Michigan be that guy before, right? He's been a high usage ball dominant guard before. So I feel like Gale might have a higher ceiling, but McKinney, we've seen it done. The proof is in the pudding. McKinney has been really good consistently since Kason got hurt. So to me, McKinney is the one that is the most dependable, safest, but Gale at a cheaper price to me has a little bit of a higher upside. That's my argument. So I'm going to play both. Not in the same lineup, but I'm going to play both.
And I don't love him, but nobody's going to be playing Cadeau because they're all going to be playing the cheap guys, or they're going to play in the 3 forwards. So if you're going for lower owned and you think Cadeau's going to have a 10 assist game or something like that, then but again, he just hasn't really shown the upside. It's been good floor, just not a ton of upside.
Let me see how quickly I can research this. One I am very curious of is who were the fastest teams in the Big Ten? When it was a pace-up game, how was Cadeau? Wisconsin's pretty fast.
Wisconsin.
22, that's not encouraging. That was a foul game, though, because he couldn't guard Blackwell or Boyd.
There's not a lot of fast teams.
No, there's not.
USC.
There's another Wisconsin one, though, 27.8. USC, 28. Is Maryland fast? No. Rutgers? No. Gonzaga's decently fast. So the point that I'm trying to make is like Cadeau and pace up spots. He hasn't played a lot of them in this Big Ten schedule, but I think there's an argument to be made that when it is a pace up spot, Cadeau, because of his ability to put up peripherals, is in play. And like you said, I don't think anybody's going to play him. So I think he's a very interesting GPP look. We got anything else to add on this game before we move on to the second one? Because I think I'm good to move on to the second one.
No, I think with Michigan, everybody pretty much knows who to play. St. Louis, like we said, Avila, and then it's kind of a toss-up. So, I mean, that's pretty straightforward on that one.
Yeah. All right, so game number 2. And I know this is the one that Joel was here for. We've got Louisville taking on Michigan State. KenPom has this one 77-75 in favor of the Spartans. This is a big-time pace-up for Michigan State because Louisville ranks 58th nationally in tempo. We know the MO with Louisville. They are not a super big team. They're not a super physical and strong team, but they're going to shoot a lot of threes, and they're not going to have Michael Brown Jr. So on Thursday against South Florida, that led to just an absolute nuke from Isaac McNeely, core play, and then an absolute disappointment from chalk, Adrian Woolley. So, Zach, is there one Louisville guy that you have in mind here on this slate? You're going to go back to McNeely? You're going to go back to Woolley? What's the plan?
So for me, for cash, I'm going to be out on Louisville because I don't like the matchup with Michigan State. If I picked one, it would probably be going back to Woolley just because of that foul game and the price is still there. But, like, I'm not paying $8,400 for Conwell whenever you have, like, as we'll talk about later, Kingston Fleming's is cheaper.
Yes, to me, 8K guard is a crowded range, and I've no desire to go back to Conwell when he's probably going to get the Jeremy Fears treatment, which means he's going to get guarded very tightly, and he's probably going to get kicked in the nuts 3 times. So I'm good on Conwell.
Yeah, I'm pretty much going to be lower on Louisville as a whole. I always like Hadley because he gets rebounds too, but and maybe he does better on this one, especially if they're focused on Conwell. McNeely, he's been playing well, but he's not making 7 threes tomorrow. So don't expect that to happen again.
I do think I'm going to play McNeely because he's just too cheap. Like I'm not expecting 7 for 10 again. I'm not expecting 34 again. But like the last game that Michael Brown played was this game against Clemson. And so the 5 games that Brown has been out, McNeely has been over 27 DraftKings points in 4 out of 5. The one game he didn't was Miami where he was 1 for 6 from 3. So I am going to go back to McNeely. Like I said, don't expect 34 again, but I think that this is a decent spot for him.
Yeah, but also you're talking about ACC defenses, and none of those are the same caliber as Michigan State.
No, but at the same time, though, the counter argument to that would be Michigan State is a defense that has 2 really strong bigs, and they really want to pack it in and force you to shoot threes. And McNeely's probably going to take 6, 7, 10 of them, right? So even if he doesn't make 7, like in the same game against USF, say he made 3 of 10 and he got 20 DraftKings points. Okay, I'm not feeling as good about it anymore, but you get the picture, right? Like he doesn't need to make 7 of 10, but the attempts are probably going to be there. So yeah, all right, let's flip sides now. Michigan State. I have been on the record all season long of you play Jeremy Fears in pace-up games. Well, we've got Jeremy Fears, and it's a pace-up game. And so I think that with a lot of the attention being diverted to some of the 8K guards we're going to talk about later, I think this is a pretty sneaky spot for Jeremy Fears. Are you going to be with them, Zach?
Yeah, I always like Fears just because, he can shoot horrible. Like last game, he made 2 shots and still put up 25 DraftKings because of the 11 assists. Like he's just an assist machine. And so he's got that good floor, but he still has upside. And I agree. I don't think he's going to get the ownership because the 8K guards, but also you have Ike is 500 more.
Mm-hmm.
And then Boozer, people always love playing Boozer.
And Darius Acuff as well.
Yeah.
Right there above him. Like the ultimate squeeze ownership spot. After that, like my beef with Michigan State is we know what they want to do. They're going to play through Kohler and Cooper in the post, and they're going to have an advantage. But like A, I never know which one it's going to be. And B, they're really expensive. So I just don't know on an 8-game slate. I don't know if I'm going to get there with Kohler and Cooper. Cam has a really good question. Or I'm sorry, not Cam. Darren has a really good question. Can we get 20 DK points from Cam Ward again? Well, I don't think he's going to get 20. You look at his best games, they all come against like weak competition. I wouldn't describe this as weak competition. However, he's only $3,800. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to talk myself into this one or not. I haven't made my player pool yet. I haven't made my lineups yet. I don't know if I'm going to talk myself into this one or not, but he might be a viable punt play on this slate.
Yeah. With Kohler, he just hasn't really shown the upside this year. Like you look at his last like 7 or 8 games, he's only hit 4X like twice. So if I am playing a big, I always like Cohen Carr because he just does everything. He just doesn't get as many minutes as Cooper and Kohler. But
Right.
again, like Cooper, like you mentioned, Cooper's kind of expensive. So like if you pay 69 and he gets 40, like last game, you're loving that. But if he gets 20 or less, then you're like, I hate myself.
Right. And like we said earlier, with these 2 games being standalone, like you could be fully on tilt if you play guys in these 2 games and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to lose so much money. I need to just play the night slate.
Yeah. Jordan
I
Scott,
found myself doing that one Saturday a few years ago.
I like Jordan Scott, but he also hasn't really shown it's only been like 1 game that he's shown the upside. But he has a decent floor if you in there for cash. And then
very decent floor. And
Tang's
the same way. Like yeah, like both those guys are probably liable to hit 2, 3 3-pointers. All right, and then Joel says Trey Fort has been getting minutes lately. Let's take a look at this. He has. Let me see what the usage looks like.
Yeah, the North Dakota State game, that's probably going to be more blowout run, I would think, because they won big.
And he had 30% usage rate in that game.
Was somebody fouling against UCLA? Be my guess.
I need UCLA to win by 5 so that I can hit a parlay, but that's beside the point. All right, I believe that covers it for game number 2. So if you guys are in the chat, let us know. We are 2 games down. I see we got our guy Huncho in the chat here. Happy as always. And then SJ says, "Miss y'all boys for CFB. Just wanted to tap in." Absolutely. Hey, believe it or not, like we're over halfway back around to college football season again, which is crazy to think about. Like week 0 here in 5 months. So I can't wait to get back in that season again. All right, let's take a look now.
Just looked up in the game against UCLA that he also got more run. Fears and Scott both had 4 fouls. So I'm guessing, it was more foul based too.
So let's talk now about TCU and Duke. So for this game, I think this is the lowest total of the slate if I'm doing my math right. Yeah, it is. It is TCU and Duke game total, or KenPom has it projected 76-63 in favor of Duke. 139-point game total. 63 of it is TCU's. They're going up against Duke. Any interest at all on the TCU side, Zach?
They're kind of priced where I don't love them, honestly, because Punch has been playing really well lately.
He's been playing out of his mind. Like
he's also 8K going up against Boozer, and so it's like, I don't know. Harding, like at the beginning of the year and towards the middle of Big 12 play, he was a solid cash play. Like But now the last
Mhm.
4 games, he's just kind of like falling apart.
Yeah, and I generally like Harding in pace-up games. It's kind of like the Jeremy Fierce deal we talked about earlier, where just because he puts up so many peripherals, you like him to have more opportunities to put up peripherals. And this is not a pace-up game. So I'm kind of out on Harding for this one, if I'm being honest. I will say Punch and Edmonds, like, I do think Duke not having Ngongba definitely at least makes it a question. If Duke had Ngongba, it'd just be like hard, right? But Sienna really got after them in the post and at the rim yesterday. And that's what Punch and Edmonds do. And so I could
there
see
was
an
some
argument.
rumors that in Gamba was practicing today. Not
Really?
sure. Yeah, we'll have to see, but
Really?
that's just something to think about.
So, yeah, if Gong was playing, I don't have any interest in him. The other thing that I was going to bring up, though, is like in a vacuum, they seem like decent plays until you realize, oh, look, is right here at 7,900. I could have any of these guys right above him that I like a whole lot more. I could have Rob Martin or Adai Mara right below him that I like a whole lot more. So, yeah, All right. Anyway, the Duke side. So we got career night from Caden Boozer Thursday night against Siena. We going back to it?
Yeah, I mean, in cash, I think you just lock him in and don't even think twice. He's played almost the entire game, the last 3 games, and he's not priced. He probably needs to be without those guys. He probably needs to be like 6,500 or more. So
And
that's
what
just
I
one of those
really
things you
like
just
too,
plug in.
the biggest trend to me that I really like is the fact that the usage has jumped. Not the minutes, not the production, not just his name being called out in the starting lineup, but the usage, right? The last 4 games, 25, 24, 20, 20. And over the course of the season, his average was 17. So just he's being used differently now, and he's being priced the same. So I am going to go right back to him. I do think that this is far from an optimal matchup, but just that price tag with how he's being used, and Jason hits the nail on the head, right? Like, I don't know why his price isn't going up. And so I think that this is just a great opportunity to just go right back to him. We'll keep riding the Boozer train. Speaking of the Boozer train, the other Boozer, Cam Boozer, up here at 11K. Is that too much?
It's hard to say. Like, you don't want to say it's too much because Boozer could break any slate. But you also, like, if you look at those, he hasn't hit 5x but one time in the last several games there.
The big issue too is like he would have to play full minutes, which obviously if the game is remotely close, he's going to. But like it just feels like a very narrow pathway for him. The only, and it's not like Punch and Edmonds are like walkovers. They're short though. Like Boozer's going to be able to get his shot like over and around them. But like I just go back to like what we kind of just said about Punch and Edmonds is like you looking at the slate as a whole, you got Boozer sitting there at 11K. Oh, look, Acuff's 1K cheaper. Jeremy Fears almost 2K cheaper, right? Like there's just guys that you like that are a lot cheaper that could have the same production. Like is Boozer really more likely to put up 50 than Acuff is? Because I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, Boozer's going to get 40. Like you pretty much know that, which is great for cash. But we're talking, point per dollar. Is he going to do it? Because you also have to keep in mind you have to get the value to get him in. And so is the cost worth it to jam him in whenever you have, like we talked about, EK and you have Acuff and you have other guys that are significantly less? So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with him. I always try to get him in at least one lineup just because you never know what's going to happen. Uh, in cash, I think you can lock him in if you feel comfortable with it. But I do think Hemania is going to do a lot better than we saw him do
Yes.
last game. And I don't think anyone's going to be on him.
He just didn't score. Like he played the minutes. He was involved in the offense. He just didn't make his shots, and he didn't get any assists, which he'd been kind of having a few of at the start of his little run. So I don't mind going back to Hemania either. I really don't.
No, Malik Brown, I'm probably out on him just because his price continues to be higher than Hemania, Sarr, and Boozer, but he's not seeing the minute increase like they all are. He's still only playing like 25 minutes.
There more minutes with Boozer at the 5 is what happened. Like they don't feel the need to play Brown 35 minutes because we're just going to play Boozer at the 5. So yeah, I'm kind of out as well. And I don't think this front court is a great matchup for him. All right, 3 games down, 5 to go. This one will probably go a little bit quicker. You'll see why in a second. It's Texas A&M taking on Houston. Ken Pom has it as 77-67 in favor of Houston. And I just want to full fade Texas A&M.
Yeah, there's a couple guys. Yeah, there's a couple guys that I don't hate. Like Ali Dibba has been 11 plus in the last 6 straight games for 3,800. That's cheap. And then Pop Isaacs has been playing well. But other than that, I agree. Like I want to be very limited on A&M and pretty much only cheap guys.
And here's the kicker to me though with A&M is, do you know how many players for them played more than 24 minutes against St. Mary's?
I'm going to say 8 or 9.
1. One guy played more than 24 minutes. It was Rashawn Ajee.
I was thinking how many.
It was Rashawn.
Yeah,
like literally everybody in the rotation played between 20 and 24 except Ajee, pretty much. So yeah, it was. And honestly, I want no part of Ajee against Houston's front court because if you guys are long-term listeners, you know how I feel about Joseph Tugler. He will literally fight Rashawn Ajee in this game. So I do not want any part of that. I don't want any part of any guard going up against Houston that isn't going to get 24 plus minutes. Simple as that. The one guy I did play Thursday night for them, I did play Clements, and I didn't regret it. Like, they need him to be a viable second big, so that way they can play a 2-big lineup against Houston. So to me, he would be the one guy I can make an argument for is Clements.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's kind of same thing, just cheap guys. I don't want to play a G up there.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's Clements or nobody at all for me. Now, the Houston side. I also think this is a pretty simple breakdown. Kingston Flemings absolutely making the pool. He's seeing the usage. He didn't get all the minutes per se against Idaho, but now we've played guards against A&M all season long. A&M is going to push the pace. I just like Flemings in this type of game environment, 82. And then I like Sharp at 53. I'm not a general fan of playing Emmanuel Sharp because all he does is shoot. He doesn't get you a lot of peripherals, but he is going to play a literal crap ton of minutes. He's going to take a decent amount of shots. And with Texas A&M heating up the possessions, there's more opportunities for peripherals, and he's the cheapest he's been all season. So Flemings and Sharp for me. You got anybody else you thinking about for Houston or anything to add on those two?
Yeah, I mean, I like pretty much everybody from Houston. Tugler has been playing well. He's finally looking like his old self. Other than that Kansas game, he's been pretty dominant the last 7 games.
See, I know you love Tugler, but he's going to have 2 fouls before the under 16.
He hasn't done it in the last 6 games. That's what I'm saying. He's finally not
which
fouling.
means he's due. So
And then
I can't do it with
yeah,
him.
Sanak, I like him as well, and I also like Uzan. I mean, you've mentioned with Sharp, but Uzan's cheap too. He hasn't been this cheap in a long time. So their prices are all, price to play there for Houston, especially if A&M can keep it close at all.
Yeah, if this game stays competitive, like it's really going to heat up the possessions for Houston, which is going to make their guys all the more playable. All right, we are halfway home, and go ahead.
Mercy Miller has been playing more lately, especially if it's blowouts. So that's something to consider too. If you think Houston's just going to wipe the floor with A&M, you can get Mercy Miller for cheap. I played him. He actually ended up being the only lineup that I cashed yesterday because I had Merkovich in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Merkovich was insane yesterday. Just insane. Also, is UCLA about to sell my parlay here? What is it? I can't tell. It looks like UCF just did something. I need them to win by 5.5. I made the bet before I knew Bilodeau was out too. Anyway, next game up, the one that I have the most personal interest in, Texas taking on Gonzaga. KenPom has this one, 79-74, which is a game total of 153 points. Texas has found themselves a little bit of groove in this NCAA tournament. They have really played through Montas Vokatitis, who put up 26 against NC State, put up 47 against BYU. And Zach, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't fear Graham Ike as a defender. So I'm probably going to go back to Vokatitis, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I think you and we already talked a little bit before the show, kind of feel complete opposite of this game. I think Texas is going to have tired legs playing third game in 5 days and all the travel they've been doing as well. So I don't have a lot of interest in Texas. I always like Swain, but Vokatitis is just kind of in a spot where I like some of the other guys around his price range.
I get that. And now I will say the other guy I'm definitely going to play is Mark. He's turning into one of my favorite Longhorns, Tremont Mark. He has this ability to shot create that not a lot of guys have. And in a game like this where Gonzaga is generally pretty good defensively, I think that they're really going to lean on Mark a lot offensively as well, in addition to Vokatitis. And you see in the 2 NCAA tournament games, Mark's put up 34 and 40. Don't expect that again, but I do think that it'd be very easy for him to hit 4X or 5X in this game. And then the other guy I will add, I played him as a value in the first 4, and that worked really well. And then I played him as a value last night, and it didn't work as well. I'm going to go back to Kendall Weaver. They just play better when he's in the game. I've watched enough Texas basketball to see the effect, right? Like he hustles all over the floor. He makes all the right plays, all the right decisions, and he can just make things happen. And his ability to be around the ball makes him put up fancy points in a hurry when he's out there. So I don't mind the idea of going to him at $3,600. I think he is a viable punt.
Yeah, that's pretty much covers it for me. I think Pope is more of a shooter, so you kind of need his shot to fall. Cody and Heedy, they just straight GPP because they're either real good or really, really bad. So
Heidi's been in foul trouble both of the NCAA tournament games so far too. Worth noting. On the Gonzaga side, we've talked about them before. They're kind of annoying, man. Like you just don't really know who's going to get the minutes for this team. You just won't. And it really seemed like in the first round, though, they settled on some guys, right? We saw Davis Fogel play 25 off the bench. We saw St. Supri play 36. And to me, if St. Supri is going to play 36 minutes at $5,300, That's something I want to target.
Yeah, Supri was almost in my core. I've always liked him, and now they finally have realized it looks like anyways, in the conference championship and against Kennesaw, that he's going to give them the best ability running point over Braden Smith. Braden Smith basically has not even been getting any run as well. So I really like Supri tomorrow.
Yeah, he's going to be a big part of my pool. Like, just that price tag, man. Like, that's such a good price tag. And then I'm probably not going to play EK. I talked about this with Texas on the last show, is like, I don't like playing bigs against Texas because Midas Vokatitis draws so many fouls. Now, he is not a great defender, but he draws so many fouls. The EK could be sitting down very early in this game, and $9,700, I don't want to take that chance on that. I'd much rather play a more secure $9,700 player.
Yeah, I'm probably going to have some EK, but yeah, because that's the problem is you hate to talk about, well, if a guy fouls, and then because if they don't, they're going to smash like him and Tugler.
Right.
So I'm still going to have some, but yeah, the foul risk on him and also Tugler keeps him from being any type of core play. But really, other than that, I'm not really interested in a lot because maybe Fogel, but I just hate the price on him.
I like Warley. Down here at 451, Darren shouted out in the chat. He played a ton of minutes, 29, right off of injury too, I might add. And I think that's a pretty good spot for him to go right back to him. He's a really good perimeter defender. And so he can match up with guys like Swain and Mark. And I think that they're going to ask a lot of him in this one. So I don't mind the idea of Warley.
Yeah, and then Grant Foster, I always like him. I don't know what the deal has been lately. Like, he just isn't getting a lot of minutes for some reason. Because when he does,
I don't know why they don't play him more minutes.
Yeah. I don't understand. He gets 25 plus usually whenever he gets more than 25 minutes. It just hasn't been happening.
The other, well, actually, that's it for Gonzaga for me, actually. I did look at the list I had here. That's it. You ready to move on to the next one?
Yeah, and I think this one's going to be fast if you and I both are on the same page here.
So it's VCU and Illinois, right? Game total is, well, projected score is 83-73. Game total is 156. On the VCU side, I mean, I don't know what to do with this one, man. Like, Terrence Hill Jr. just went nuclear against North Carolina, but we've talked about him before. I don't like playing guys that come off the bench at $6,800. And he's also quite scoring dependent. And last time I checked, Illinois is a much better defense than North Carolina. So I don't think I'm going there. Djokovic is decent, but Illinois is a much tougher matchup. Nick Lewis has played very well lately, but this is a much tougher matchup. What did you think about VCU?
My first gut instinct was full fade, because we've kind of talked about this before. Their rotation is kind of frustrating, like St. Louis. They pretty much do whoever's hot between Jennings, Hill, Lewis. You can even throw Tracy in there. And so I don't feel like their minutes are consistent enough that you maybe Bell. I mean, Bell's got a pretty safe floor. He's got pretty safe minutes.
If I can talk about Bell, he is he's about 6'8", and he's a pretty big guy. Illinois is huge. They're going to need size. They're not going to be able to play like Jennings at the 3 in this game like they were against North Carolina or against Dayton. Like they're going to need size, and Bell will give them that size. So Bell to me feels pretty safe because you're going to get a ton of minutes out of him.
Yeah, I think if I had to pick one, it'd probably be Bell. I usually like Jennings, but I don't like his price right there at 56. And just the matchup, we've been talking about. Going from North Carolina defense to Illinois defense is going to be like night and day difference.
Mm-hmm. And so, speaking of that Illinois defense, we just saw North Carolina score a lot of points against this VCU team. And Illinois is a much better offense than North Carolina. And they also put up, 105 against Penn? Wow, I was right. It was 105. So I'm going right back to some of these Illinois guys. Wagler, everything that you could have possibly wanted to see against Penn, you did, right? Like high usage, high efficiency, ton of peripheral stats, checks all the boxes. Mirkovic, ceiling game against Penn. And we just saw Henry Vasar dominate VCU down low, right? So I'm going right back to Wagler and Mirkovic. I watched an interview today, and he said it's pronounced David Mirkovic. So I'm going to give him that respect. I will go to Mirkovic here on this slate.
Yeah, I'm going right back to Mirkovic as well. Like you talked about, Vasar just had his way with them. Even Stevenson, he had 2 fouls early in the first half, only played 6 minutes, but he ended up getting 4x against them as well. And so I don't think they're going to be able to slow him down. Like you said, Wagler's always in play. Tomislav Avicic, his price stays cheap, but he just hasn't showed the ceiling this year. So it's like maybe you throw it in, hope he does or something. Kind of same thing with Stojakovic and Boswell. My main focus is going to be Wagler and Mirkovic.
I think Tomislav Ivicic is a great GPP play, right? Just because, Illinois is going to play this 5-out offense, and they're either going to have Evans or Djokovic on him, and Ivicic is going to be able to shoot. And, if they do get pushed, I do think he will play more minutes, like when push comes to shove. So I think there's a case for upside there at 58. And yes, 100% Hacho. The Illinois stacks were outstanding in the first round. Now, granted, there's still a lot of ball left to be played, but those Illinois stacks, if you have any, are looking pretty good if you started at Wagler and Mirkovic. And Mirkovic, I thought his ADP was way too low, so I drafted a good deal of them. If I got an Illinois stack, I made sure to get Mirkovic. I have a ton of Purdue stacks that were helped out last night by having tonight by having TKR and Clough too. So that was pretty clutch. And then Darren says, sure, Mirkovic had a ceiling game. Well, I guess ceilings are meant to be busted through, right? And who's to say he won't go get more here in this one? All right, 2 games left to go. Vanderbilt taking on Nebraska. KenPom has this one 75-74 in favor of the Commodores. Zach, I see this game playing out quite simply. I've got a take for both sides of this game. On the Vanderbilt side, I like Tanner and Miles. Like, just straight up, I like Tanner and Miles. I don't think that Nebraska's guards are going to be able to stay in front of them. And I think that that's going to cause a lot of problems. And they both, I thought, played well against McNeese. Miles didn't have as much of the counting stats, but I didn't think he was bad in that game. Meanwhile, Tanner went nuclear for 44. Is there anybody else that catches your fancy on Vanderbilt, or are you just going to stick with those two, or do you even like those two?
No, I always like Tanner and Miles. I'm probably going to be more on Miles than Tanner just because Tanner's kind of in that price that we've been talking about, a little high up there. But outside of those two, it's really a bunch of hit or miss, like with Nickel, McLaughlin, Okirke, Washington. It's kind of like ebbs and flows on which of those guys it is from game to game.
So if I were to make any argument for Nickel, it would be that because Nebraska, like if you watch them play, they're like this super help defense team. Like they're like the opposite of Hawaii. If you watched Hawaii play Arkansas, Nebraska is going to help and always stop the ball. And so Nickel's the catch and shoot player that Vanderbilt wants to get the ball to. So if they're going to be helping off and, stopping the drives of Tanner and Miles, it wouldn't be a bad idea to me to stack nickel with them. And so that way you're getting an assist and a 3 if that does transpire that way. That would be the argument for nickel to me. All right, let's flip over to the Nebraska side. I think Warren hit the nail on the head right here. I think this is a great spot for Rick Mast. We've seen Vanderbilt get killed by oversized bigs all season long, and Mast is pretty big. And if there was any doubt you had about him coming into the tournament, about his recent play, and how he kind of had been a letdown for the most part, he kind of quelled all those doubts against Troy. 11, 6, and 7. He's a 26% usage player on the season. He was 30% in this game. I like Mast a lot. He's one of the best mid-range plays to me on this slate.
Yeah, I like Mast too, but also going with that, just as good as, that Purdue game. He had 38, and we were like, oh, he's back, and then he drops 17 the next game. So it's just it's frustrating.
He was, if I remember right, too, he was such chalk on that slate where they were taking on Northwestern.
Yeah,
he was like massive chalk.
Sanford, I always like him. He's going to shoot a ton, like 20 plus times. So he could be worth looking.
So I never play him, and I just don't like guys that are that expensive, that are that reliant on shooting. He is not a big time rebounder. He's not a big time assist guy. He's 8,800. You go look at the salaries. Okay, would you rather have Sanford, or would you rather have a guy that we're going to talk about in the next game, or would you rather have Wagler? Right? I just think that he's too expensive for his profile. But maybe that's just me. Anything else on Nebraska?
I kind of like Lawrence as a value if you need it for cash. He's got a good floor.
I don't mind it.
But yeah, other than that, it's mainly those guys right there that we just talked about.
And then
maybe
Darren, did you see what Troy was saying in interviews this week?
No, I did not.
So all of Troy's players, apparently in their program, they have this thing where they don't take elevators, they don't take escalators, they don't do anything automated. So they take the stairs and stuff like that because they want to emphasize that there's no shortcuts, there's no easy way out. And I think it would be hilarious if somebody that was a hotel manager knew that and put them on the 17th floor. Oh yeah, we're gonna make them walk 16 stories to get down to the arena. And then naturally the coach leaves to Georgia Tech today too. That was the first domino to fall. Oh, and then my Charlotte 49ers hired a head coach today too, but we can talk about that later. All right, last game of the day, and to me, if you're talking about, hey, what's the best game of the day to watch? What's the best game of the day to stack? What's the best game of the day just from DraftKings plays in general? Here you go. High Point taking on Arkansas. Ken Pom has it as 92-80 in favor of Arkansas. That's 172 points. That's a lot. That is a lot. And on the High Point side, I think really what makes this game so stackable is that High Point beat Wisconsin at their own game. High Point was still doing their thing and playing super fast. And they were not playing great defense. And they were just it's okay. We're just going to come back and score on the other end. There were so many possessions in that game. It was going back and forth so much. And I think that's what's going to happen here again in this one. And that's what makes me want to keep going back to it. Right. And so for High Point, the one thing that I will say is they seem to have really settled on a core of 4 guys. And those guys are the main 4 that I'm going to be targeting. Right. It's Terry Anderson, Rob Martin, Owen Aquino, Cameron Fletcher. Naturally, they're the 4 most expensive guys on DraftKings. But those are the 4 guys that played the most minutes. Those are the 4 guys that put up the most DraftKings points. These, to me, are the guys you want. If I were to pick any favorites out of the bunch, I really like Anderson, even though he is expensive. So Anderson, he's just so adept at getting to the rim. And we've talked about all season long with Arkansas, like, hey, play bigs against Arkansas, like play bigs against Arkansas. I think that kind of extends to guys that attack the rim as well. And that's Anderson at $8,800. And he's going to have a ton of opportunities to put up fantasy points. And then I also like Aquino. Bigs against Arkansas, right? Like he's not going to be the biggest shot volume guy. He's not going to be the biggest usage guy. But if he's playing 35 plus minutes, which he did against Wisconsin, and he did earlier in the season multiple times as well, bigs against Arkansas, Owen Aquino. And so I like both of those the most. I will also have Rob Martin and Cameron Fletcher in my pool. Is there anybody that catches your eye here, Zach?
Yeah, you pretty much nailed that. All those guys right there. The only other one is Scotty Washington. I'm not really sure why 9 minutes against Wisconsin. I don't know if he fouled or whatever, but he's been pretty solid in the games before that.
So it appeared to me that they just settled on a lineup that didn't include him. Like they played Fletcher 33 minutes off the bench. They played Chase Johnston 32 minutes off the bench. And so it just seems like he wasn't in the 5 for that day. Like he wasn't in the crunch time 5, right?
Yeah, and Johnston.
But he was quite good before that.
Yeah, Johnston is good. But again, kind of one of those things that we talk about. He's basically a shooter only. So you have to have his shot falling to make it.
The thing is with Johnston is like, he's only 3,800 though. Like every time he hits a 3, he's basically giving you 1x value. So, he comes in, he hits 3 threes. Like I'd be okay with that. Like, so I think he's a viable punt. Warren has a great question, says over under 0.5 2-point field goals for Johnston. I would go under on that, just given that he didn't have one all season long prior to his game-winning layup, and I thought he was going to miss it. I really did. When I saw the play transpiring, I'm like, oh my, I think he's going to miss it. And he came through. He made it. And then to Darren's point, the high point, not about playing anybody in the top 100, was because the top 100 didn't want to play high point. Dude, their campus is 15 minutes from my front door right here. That is a beautiful, beautiful campus. They have free ice cream, free pools, an on-campus steakhouse. It's one of the nicest, most luxurious campuses. There's an on-campus arcade. Like, there's all kinds of amenities on that campus that, like, teams should be signing up to go play road games there, because it's a really cool place, really cool arena too. It's brand new. The guy that is the current chancellor named it after himself naturally, but I think teams are going to want to schedule them, because honestly, like, and this is kind of the situation that Dayton and VCU find themselves in, is like when you have the rep of being a good mid-major, teams will schedule you because they know that you're not going to nuke them with a quad 3 or quad 4 game. Like they know that you're going to be quad 1 or quad 2. So I think the high point will start getting there. Miami, Ohio will get there, but like you got to get the rep of being a good mid-major to start getting those games. And yes, it is quite expensive in tuition. It is it's kind of the local college from where I went to high school. It's not as close to me right now as it was when I was in high school. But like we used to like make fun of people that would stay in High Point for college, because it was also kind of in the hood back in the day. But they've kind of just bought the hood and made it all High Point University. It's kind of weird. Anyway, enough about High Point. You ready to talk Arkansas, Zach?
Yep.
I know there is a guy in Arkansas that you like a lot, so I will let you have the floor for this one.
Yeah, so I pretty much have been on him every time the last several games. Malik Ewan, the game against Vandy, it was like, what happened? He just all of a sudden stopped, didn't get the minutes. Pringle was out. I should have changed and got him 100% of my lineups when Pringle was out. I just was too busy to be messing with stuff. And, Arkansas's best lineup, even Nick Pringle tells you that Ewan should be starting every game the rest of the season. He said that in an interview
right there.
because their best lineup is Brazil, Acuff, Richmond, Ewan, and Thomas. And he just is so, provides so much for them. And even if it doesn't look likely to me because Pringle had a light practice, not even a full practice on Friday today. Even if Pringle's back, Ewan has been playing lights out other than that Vandy game. So it's just too cheap. Just throw them in there. Kind of like Jason said, start the lineups with Boozer and Ewan. Don't even think twice about it.
100%. Yeah, like that. You don't even have to think about that on tomorrow's slate, honestly. Like so let me think the best way to phrase this. If you played college basketball DFS long enough, you've seen years where DraftKings completely overreacts to what happens in round 1 and round 2 and beyond. And they will just like completely jack up the salaries like the wrong direction. They did nothing on this slate in reaction to what happened in round 1. Like Rink Mass barely got an increase. Caden Boozer barely got an increase. Malik Ewan barely got an increase. Like you can just go right back to the same guys that won you all the money on Thursday here on this slate, and Boozer and Ewan are the head of that train. I did not know that he led the country in dunks, though. I feel like he didn't play enough minutes to do that, but that makes sense. And to Darren's point, I would say 5. I never play a lineup with more than 5 from one game. That's just me personally, unless it's a 2-game slate. If it's a 2-game slate, I will. But like an 8-game slate like this one, it's kind of unlikely that you see 6 players in a game hit value. I will say, other than Ewan, the one guy I really like on Arkansas, I'm going right back to Darius Acuff. Like the game against Hawaii, it was only 39. Like that ain't bad. He's now $9,800 against a team that is going to really push the tempo and also gave up about 40 DraftKings points apiece to Nick Boyd and John Blackwell. So I'm here for Acuff, and by that same logic, I'm also here for Malik Thomas, even though I do think Malik Thomas is a little overpriced. But I'm here for both of them here on this slate.
Yeah, and I always like Brazil and Richmond too. Brazil, he's just such a solid floor. He does get in foul trouble sometimes, like EK, but it's not bad. And then Richmond, he's just been playing lights out the last few games as well.
For whatever reason, on FanDuel, Richmond is like in the 5K range. So like, I've done this a few times this year where you see a guy's price on the 2 sites and it's like vastly different. And you're like, oh, okay, I guess all my exposure today on Richmond is just going to be on FanDuel as opposed to DraftKings. That's probably going to be my mindset tomorrow because I very much struggle to play somebody with a sub 18% usage rate at $7,300. But on FanDuel, he's not $7,300. And then Warren says, I like Wagner with the price down. So Wagner, basically, if they're only going to have a 6-man rotation, like if Pringle is out, it actually really does help Wagner, which sounds like it shouldn't be true, but no, because like they just have a finite combination of lineups, a finite number of guys to get minutes to. So if Pringle is out, Wagner's going to play 30 minutes. So I don't mind that either. He's not my favorite play, but like if you're looking to really stack this game up and you need a value, I think that's a place you can go to it.
Yeah, it kind of depends to me on if Pringle's going to be out, but also the issue is it's the last game and it starts an hour later than the game. So you're not going to know. You basically have to build lineups and hope that you're right.
I'm going to be operating as if he is out. Like,
yeah, that's
so. Let me think the right way to phrase this. Like, I'm not in the locker room. I'm not on the coaching staff. I'm not on the training staff. I'm not. But the things that Nick Pringle said in the interview today and the things that John Calipari said in the interview today are not what you'd be saying about a guy that's playing tomorrow. Right? Like you've seen the quotes too, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I would tend to think that he's not going tomorrow. All right,
yeah,
let's wrap this thing up. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, like we mentioned, if he plays, it's not going to affect Ewan. It's going to affect Wagner the most of anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, Ewan's still going to play a ton of minutes, which is what makes him so safe. All right, let's wrap this thing up. We do this every time we do a live. It is Zach's Core 4, used for cash games, I will add. There's some people on Twitter that don't seem to understand that concept during college football season, but I haven't heard anything during college basketball season. But Zach, I'm going to go ahead and show this sheet on the screen. Why don't you tell the people where they can find the sheet, and then let's do a quick run through of the Core 4.
Yeah, so Big Country DFS Twitter or Discord, as well as Fantasy Corner Discord. Post it all, every day, every slate for free. Also, side note, because I'm watching Kansas game and I have a lot of Badinga, and the teams have shot a combined 4 for 25 right now. And I also have the over, so I'm really getting mad right now.
They can't throw it in the ocean right now, dude. It's bad.
Yeah. Badinga just missed a layup a minute ago. Like, come on. So, yeah, we already talked about Boozer and Ewan. Those are probably going to be the two guys that you open your double ups and they're going to be 75% owned. Like, and there's a good reason for it. And they're two guys that are so cheap that even in GPP, it's going to be hard for me to not use them, just because there's not really guys around that price that I'm like confident in the minutes and the production. Then McKinney, like we already talked about, safe floor. He's got 15 plus in every game but one without case on. And then Mirkovic again. That last spot, I was debating between Mirkovic, Tugler, St. Supri, Flemings, Sharp.
I was going to say, I honestly was opening this up expecting it to be Flemings.
Yeah, I decided to change just because I like doing two guards and two forwards. I think it gives more balance for everybody. And I also think Mirkovic is probably going to have higher ownership for cash than Flemings.
Yeah, I think you're probably right on that. Just because positionally, right? Like there's other high-priced guards that people are going to flock to that are not Flemings. So that tracks.
But speaking of that, there is one guy that we didn't mention on the Duke game that I do want to talk about just a little bit.
Okay.
Is Isaiah Evans. I don't think anyone's going to play him just because of his price, right? Like he's kind of in that middle, 7,400. But in the games, that they haven't had those two guys, he's been 20 plus every time, and he had the 50 bomb the one game. And so I don't mind him. I think you can play him with Boozer as well, like because Duke's just playing their starters the whole game, other than Malik Brown.
Entire game. Yeah. All right. I believe that's going to wrap us up.
Yeah, I think it's good. Thank you guys. Thank everybody for your chat and the questions and conversation. Also, Florida has 50 points with 4 minutes to go in the first half.
So to me, Florida is a very clear byproduct of they watched what happened to Duke and Michigan, and they are saying, not us. Y'all ain't gonna get us like this. We are going to take care of our business early tonight, is what the Gators said. And then also, for the record, UCLA sold me on the parlay. I had Utah State minus 1.5, Iowa minus 2.5, and UCLA minus 5.5, and they sold me. And it was with the profit boost token on FanDuel, so I gotten that up to like 10-1, and that hurts because UCLA A was winning the entire game. B, I made the bet before I knew Bilodeau was out. So yeah, that's annoying. But anyway, we're all right. We get another day of watching college basketball tomorrow, so we're all right. Anyway, if you guys are watching us, thank you guys for tuning in live. If you're catching us on the replay, thank you for waking up on a Saturday morning with us and enjoying your coffee or your bagel or whatever you do for breakfast with us before this 12 game or 8 game slate. Reminder, the sheet that we were looking at, check that out at Big Country DFS on Twitter. It's also posted in both Discords that are linked in the description. And then if you want my core plays, head on over to the Patreon, patreon.com/Mike's Money Picks. And we're going to be doing more of these for March Madness. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel, because if you're subscribed, you will know when we go live. All right. Any final thoughts to close us out?
No, just I'm excited because tomorrow is actually like the first day that I actually get to stay home and do nothing for spring break. So
nice.
I'm ready to sit on my butt all day and watch basketball.
That's nice. I got out this morning, played an early round of golf, got home by the time the game started, and the in-laws had my daughter, and I had my son. And so it was just me and the 1-year-old. He took a nap for a little bit, and then he just kind of sat around and played in the floor while I watched college basketball. It was a really good afternoon. So, yeah, it's just a great time of year. I love this time of year, and it's sad that the best 2 days are already gone. But we still got 2 more good days upcoming with Saturday and Sunday. So let's make it a good one. Best of luck to all you guys with your DraftKings lineups. Thank you guys for tuning in, whether you're catching us live or on the replay. Either way, make sure you're subscribed, because we're going to do more of these, and we will see you guys next time.